time to just share about a year ago. Andrea and I went cycling in the Netherlands. Well, actually Netherlands, Germany, Switzerland. We'd been traveling for 5 years. Some of you might not know, but we've traveled for 5 years from one place to another, not having a base to go back to, just moving on to the next place, sleeping in a different bed in a different place from week to week. And it's just been such a journey. And so we were scheduled to do some meetings in the Netherlands and then some meetings in Switzerland. And so in between we thought, we've got a week open, we're not going to book it full, I think it was 10 days we had open. We're going to hop on some bikes and cycle through to Switzerland from the Netherlands. So that was a fun thought. And so we did. Our friends were going to loan us their bicycles, and fortunately the night before we were due to leave, some other friends offered us their bikes, because the first bikes were like these little town kind of upright bikes that were old and really you could get to the store and back with it. And our other friends loaned us their bicycles, and we hopped on and we started our cycle through towards Switzerland. But we thought, if we don't make it in time for the next meeting, we'll just hop on a train. And so we started, and I think we'd done about 600 kilometers in total. Correct me if I'm wrong. And we arrived in a place called Mainz in Germany, and we'd finished these 600 kilometers. I think I don't know how many days we'd done it, but it was we thought quite good going. And we got a drink, an old Swiss Radler, like a beer shandy, and we clinked the glasses together and said, wow, we've made it. And in that moment I leaned back and onto a German yellow jacket Hornet. I don't know if the German yellow jackets are worse than others, but it was a German yellow jacket, and it got stuck, and it just kept on stinging. But I was obviously, what on earth was that? And Andre got it and flicked it off, and of course its bottom remained in my back, and he scraped that out. And so we got some ice from the waiter who'd seen what was going on, and fine. The pain was relieved from the ice, and so we decided to get up and move on to stop at the shop on the way to our room. And probably within that minute of kind of going from the restaurant to the shop, and as I entered the shop, I just sensed something's going on, and my hands just started tingling, and it felt like my heart was in my head, just pounding, throbbing, and then I started to just feel very weird. So I shouted to Andre, "Something's happening! I'm having a reaction or something." And he ran off for antihistamine, and by that stage I was on the floor, and one of the young cashiers there had come over, and she'd started assisting me with a security guard, and they kind of carried me through to a room. And but it all happened so quickly, and some of it I was unconscious for, so you're welcome to chip in. And so basically what was happening, which I found out later, was I went into anaphylactic shock. But during that time, I just remember in that second of this chaos, suddenly your whole world is spinning and you just feel like you're slipping away, and the last thing I remember was going, "Father, help," and then just sensing, that there was just completely enveloped in his embrace and completely enveloped in love. And in that place of engulfed envelopment in love, there was absolutely no room for fear. And there wasn't an inkling or thought of fear. Obviously all this is happening to your body and going on. And so, in that short space of time, I don't know how long it had happened before they called the emergency services who had come over. They were quite quick to respond. But by the time Andre had run to get antihistamine, and he'd come back and I was unconscious, and this cashier had me on my head on her lap, apparently the whole time. And when I came round again, I almost felt like I was being called back, and I just heard this broken English, no, you come back. And with that, I remember opening my eyes, and at that time, Andre was there, and then I don't remember what happened again, but apparently the emergency services had come and, administered adrenaline and whatever they do, and rushed me to the hospital, and they rushed me through, and I think you were left to fill out paperwork or something. And when we got to talk again, Andre, maybe you must say what the questions you asked.
Yeah, so when she was eventually able to speak again, she said, I was gone. I said, yeah, you passed out. And she said, no, I was in a beautiful place. And so suddenly I realized how serious this was. Yeah. And I kind of, all the normal questions popped into my head. I said, well, what was it like? Was it a city? Was it in the field? and who was there? And she said, you were there. And that for me was so beautiful because, from my point of view, it seemed as if I'm losing her, but from her perspective, there was no distance. Like, I was there. And I think the next day, especially that night, you were still full of the drugs, and we lived in the most horrible little space that we ever rented in town. So the next day when we got on the train was really the first time we started or began to chat, and I kind of asked Mary Ann more about this place. And I remember the one thing you said that was so amazing is that it wasn't actually somewhere else. It was right here, but everything that was temporal was gone. And it was almost like eternity and the beauty of eternity that was available right here, right now, just became visible. And I think that's why when you came back, you kind of, it's almost like returning to a 2D world from where you've been.
And I think the amazing thing was just the fact, the here-ness, the placiness, in the middle of real life, of real people, real circumstances. There was just so much colour and richness and movement. And I think if I have to term almost like this latent potential, this throbbing potential for possibility and for life. And, I know when... Oh, and I haven't got my phone here. Oh, Francois, you haven't got your... Can't you quote Romans 8, verse 35? Come on, from the mirror. It's just so beautifully written, and it's the scripture that popped up, the next morning. Francois finding it.
It's got 35 verses. No, it does. What will it take to distance us from the love of Christ? You name any potential calamity, intense pressure of the worst possible kind. Claustrophobia. I spelled it wrong. I said to Mary Ann, did you notice you spelled it wrong? I said, no, I didn't, but I know the feeling. Persecution, destitution, loneliness, extreme exposure, life-threatening danger, or war.
And further,
Verse 37, on the contrary, in the thick of these things, our triumph remains beyond dispute. His love has placed us above the reach of any onslaught. This is my conviction, that no threat, whatever it be, whether it be in death or life, be it angelic beings, demon powers, or political principalities, nothing known to us at this time or even in the unknown future, no dimension of any calculation in time or space, nor any device yet to be invented, has what it takes to separate us from the love of God demonstrated in Christ Jesus, our ultimate authority.
Yes, thank you. So that passage just came up in my heart, resonating that next morning, and realizing how fragile life really is. We only have this moment, but do we really have it? Do we possess it? Or is it filled with such movement, with such potential, with such opportunity, and the sense that, no matter what you face, and no matter what it is that you even face right now, darling, what you face even right now does not have what it takes to rob you from the eternity of this moment, and from the potential in this moment, the opportunity for you to live, for you to laugh, for you to love. And I remember waking up from that experience and I just wanted to love. I mean, I think the ambulance people might have thought that there was something else going on. I just wanted to grab them and love them and tell them, do you know how precious you are? Do you know how valuable you are? And that the experience I had didn't leave me with a sense of longing in terms of, I don't want to be in this place. There's something wrong with this place, or that has spoilt me from the temporal. But more, it has given color and meaning and significance and movement and opportunity to the now. And I realized that what really gives this moment significance and what gives our lives meaning is love. And no matter what we face and in what circumstances we're in, we always have the opportunity to love. And if that is your greatest expectation, to have the opportunity to love, you won't be disappointed. Because there's always an opportunity waiting for you to love, to live, to breathe, to not walk past whatever's going around and just as if it's another thing, another insignificant moment, but to embrace whatever it is, to not shy away from the pain, from the contradiction, from the trials, to not run away or avoid, but to stand and face it with the reality that there is nothing, not in this life, there's nothing even invented that could separate you from this love.
That's right.
And this is what gives this moment significance, is that we have that opportunity to love. And beauty is something so amazing because it never forces itself upon you, but it presents itself until you are wowed, until you actually participate. And there's something about beauty that just comes alive with our participation. It's like when you watch a sunset, how much more beautiful was it this evening, enjoying it with more people, having a point of reference and going, wow. There's something about that enjoyment where relationship is what matters. And beauty beyond compare floods this earth. You are here, and everywhere your presence felt. silence is gone. Beauty awakens to love's song. Oh, how beautiful are you. We're filled up with heaven's smile. Oh, what joy and bliss when we awaken to love's kiss.